Power in Manhattan smelled like charred meat and unspoken threats. The February cold pressed against the windows of the obsidian like an interrogator waiting for confession, but inside, heat poured from open kitchens and the fury of men who believed themselves untouchable. Imported marble gleamed beneath crystal chandeliers that cost more than most apartments. The low hum of deal-making layered beneath the clink of silverware on bone china. This was where empires were bought and sold over ribeye and whiskey that never appeared on any tax return. Lajuana Albrecht moved through the dining room like smoke through a crime scene. Her uniform was immaculate, her movements economical. At 30, she had perfected the art of existing without being noticed, a necessary survival skill when your clientele included hedge fund criminals, senators with offshore accounts, and men whose handshakes sealed fates instead of contracts. She refilled water glasses, cleared plates, kept her face blank though. Her eyes cataloged everything. The attorney who always ordered for his niece, the developer whose buildings collapsed on schedule, the judge whose verdicts could be purchased by the bottle. Another round for table 7? Her voice was practiced velvet, designed to soothe rather than register. The banker waved her away without looking up. Naturally, sir. Lajuana stepped back with the grace of someone who had learned long ago that visibility invited danger. Tonight, though, something electric charged the air, like the moment before a subway arrives, when you feel the rumble before you hear it. Near table 1, Kang No-seok held court like a monarch surveying conquered territory. At 34, he didn't need to raise his voice to command obedience. People simply bent. Lean and predatory in tailored black, his presence devoured oxygen from the room. The serpent tattoo wrapped around his wrist seemed to pulse in the low light, alive with malice. On paper, he ran import businesses and investment firms. But Lajuana knew what everyone in this room knew. Kang No-seok's real empire was built on bodies that washed up in the Hudson and debts collected in screams. She'd worked at the Obsidian for 12 years, invisible by design. She needed the money, needed the routine, needed to remain a ghost in a city that devoured anyone who stood out. But tonight, her carefully constructed anonymity was about to detonate. Albrecht. Marcus, the floor manager, materialized beside her, his jaw tight with tension. Table 1. They requested you specifically. Lajuana's heartbeat stuttered. He doesn't know who I am. He does now. Get over there. Don't speak unless he addresses you directly. Don't make eye contact. And for God's sake, don't give him a reason to remember you. She approached with water and leather-bound menus clutched like shields. Her expression was professionally neutral, though every instinct screamed at her to run. Kang No-seok sat surrounded by 4 lieutenants, all Korean, all watching her with the casual interest of predators evaluating prey. He didn't acknowledge her presence, simply continued his conversation in rapid, venomous Korean, his voice dripping with contempt. Look at this one. Like a stray that learned to walk upright. Black people always know their place, don't they? Always so eager to serve. His men erupted in laughter, sharp and knowing. Something ancient and volcanic surged through Lajuana's chest. She'd spent 15 years running from her past. From the childhood in Seoul, hidden in the shadow of diplomatic compounds and political intrigue. From the Korean her father taught her at their kitchen table while teaching her to decode his ledgers. From the blood-soaked memories she'd buried in silence. From everything she'd sacrificed to become no one. She set down the menus with deliberate precision. Then she did the unthinkable. She looked directly into Kang No-seok's eyes, violating every rule of survival she'd built her life around. In flawless aristocratic Korean, the dialect of Seoul's elite families, she spoke 3 words that sliced through the room like a blade through silk. Nega boasayo. I saw you. The obsidian went silent. Every conversation died mid-sentence. Glasses paused halfway to lips. Kang No-seok's face drained from bronze to ash, the color of a man who'd just seen his own ghost. Lajuana didn't retreat. She leaned in slightly, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner. "You think you can mock me because I'm black? Because I carry your plates? I understood every syllable, and I'm telling you now, the only animal in this restaurant is the one who tears down others because he's terrified of what they know." The silence was suffocating. Absolute. Kang No-seok rose slowly, towering over her. His hand drifted toward his jacket, where she could see the outline of something metallic and final. For a breath, she thought he might kill her in front of 50 witnesses who would all swear they saw nothing. Instead, he smiled. It was a terrible thing, cold and fascinated, like a scientist discovering a new species of poison. "What's your full name?" "Lajuana Albrecht." "Well, Lajuana Albrecht." He leaned close enough that she could smell imported cigarettes and something darker beneath, something like fear disguised as rage. "You just made the most dangerous decision of your life." He threw a stack of hundreds on the table and walked out, his lieutenants scrambling in his wake like rats abandoning a sinking ship. Marcus appeared beside her, his face the color of old newspaper. "Pack your things. You're done here. And if you're smart, you'll leave the city by morning." But Lajuana stood motionless, staring at table 1, because Kang No-seok had misunderstood her words completely. "Nega Boisoyo" didn't mean she saw him tonight. It meant she saw him 15 years ago, on a dock in Seoul, when his brother's body hit the water. And now, the most powerful man in Manhattan knew his greatest secret wasn't buried after all. It was serving tables 3 nights a week. Before we dive in, take a moment to hit that subscribe button, give a like, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. It means more than you know to see our storytelling family growing, reaching corners of the world I never imagined. Every click, every comment, every ounce of love you share fuels our journey to uncover these unforgettable stories. So, find your cozy spot, settle in, and let me guide you to a place you've never been before. The glass doesn't shatter when Kang No-seok hurls it against the penthouse wall. It explodes. Crystal fragments rain across Italian marble like deadly snow. His lieutenants flinch but don't move. They've learned. Movement draws attention. Attention draws blood. No-seok paces the length of his office, 40 stories above Manhattan, where the city sprawls beneath him like a kingdom he's convinced himself he owns. His reflection multiplies in floor-to-ceiling windows. 5 versions of a man coming apart at the seams. Find everything. His voice is surgical, cold. Where she lives, who she talks to, every store she enters, every train she takes. I want her life mapped down to the second she exhales. Min-jun, his oldest lieutenant, shifts weight from foot to foot. "Boss, she's just a..." "She saw me." No-seok rounds on him so fast Min-jun's hand moves toward his weapon. "Do you understand what that means? Not tonight, Seoul, 15 years ago?" The room temperature drops 10 degrees. Everyone present knows the official story. The eldest son, Kang Jae-sung, died in a car accident returning from Busan. Tragic. Respectful funeral. The family moved forward, but whispers have always circulated in the dark corners where the old guard drinks and remembers. Whispers about a dock, a body, a brother who asked too many questions about the family's direction. No-seok's father built the syndicate on loyalty and fear. But loyalty fractures when truth walks into the room wearing a waitress uniform. The council meets in 72 hours. No-seok's fingers drum against the desk, a staccato rhythm of panic disguised as thought. 3 days. That's his countdown. 3 days before the old guard gathers to discuss territorial expansions and profit margins. 3 days before someone asks why the heir is obsessed with hunting a woman who serves steaks. She cannot be alive when they arrive. Silent stretches, the kind that makes men confess or flee. It needs to look natural, Minjun finally offers. Accidental. If she disappears violently, I don't care how it looks. No Seok lights a cigarette, his hands almost steady. Almost. I care that it's done. Robbery gone wrong, subway accident, gas leak in her apartment. Choose. Jiwoo, the youngest, the ambitious one who thinks he hides it well, speaks carefully. Why would a waitress know anything about Seoul? About family business? No Seok freezes. The cigarette burns forgotten between his fingers, ash growing longer, ready to fall. This is the question that unravels everything. Why would a Black American waitress speak aristocratic Korean? Why would she reference a night that officially never happened? Who taught her? And worse, what else does she know? Her father. The words taste like poison. Find out who her father was. Every connection, every document, every goddamn parking ticket. Someone taught her our language. Someone told her our secrets. The name hangs in the air, unspoken but deafening. Albrecht. No Seok's father mentioned that name once, years ago, in a drunken rage about a diplomat who got too close, a Korean investigation that nearly toppled their empire before it was resolved. Could she be? No. Impossible. But No Seok's hand trembles as he reaches for his phone. He scrolls through encrypted contacts, finds the one marked only with a red circle. The cleaner. The ghost who makes problems disappear, so thoroughly their mothers forget they existed. 24 hours, he says into the phone. No greeting, no explanation needed. Female, black, 30 years old, works at the Obsidian. I'm sending a photo. Method? The voice on the other end sounds like gravel scraping bone. Quiet, final, untraceable. Price? Whatever you want. He ends the call. Exhales smoke toward the ceiling. His reflection in the dark window looks like a stranger, like a man who just ordered an execution because a woman said 3 words. Negabasayo. If No Seok's brother haunted him before, now he has company, and she's very much alive. The gas smell hits Lajuana 3 steps from her apartment door. Not the faint leak you ignore until morning. This is thick, chemical, the kind that coats your throat and makes your eyes water. She freezes in the hallway, keys halfway to the lock, every instinct her father ever taught her screaming through 12 years of carefully maintained ignorance. The fluorescent light above her flickers, buzzes. Someone replaced the bulb wrong, or someone wants witnesses to think they replaced it wrong. Her neighbor's door opens. Mrs. Chen, 73, perpetually suspicious, peers out through her chain lock. You smell that? I called the super an hour ago. Nothing. Stay in your apartment. Lajuana's voice is steady despite her pulse hammering against her ribs. Don't open your windows. Don't light anything. She backs away from her door, counts. 4 steps, 6. At 8, she hears it, the softest click of a mechanism engaging, like a lighter trying to catch. She's already running when the explosion turns her apartment into a fireball that blows out every window on the 4th floor. The shockwave slams her into the stairwell wall. Heat scorches the air behind her, sucking oxygen, chasing her down concrete steps as alarms shriek and residents pour into the hallway like panicked animals. Lajuana keeps moving, taking stairs 3 at a time, her server, shoes slapping against metal edges. Blood trickles from her hairline where debris caught her. She doesn't stop. Can't stop. Ground floor. Out the service exit. into the February night that feels like ice water after standing near the mouth of hell. She runs 4 blocks before her lungs force her to stop, leans against a bodega's metal shutters, gasping, watching smoke plume into the sky behind her. Sirens converge from every direction. Her hands shake so violently she has to clench them into fists to make them still. 48 hours. That's all it took for Kang No-seok to decide she's a problem requiring permanent solutions. Her phone vibrates. Unknown number. She stares at the screen, watching it ring once, twice, then stop. A message appears. Accidents happen. Next time, you won't smell it coming. Lajuana deletes it, removes the SIM card, drops both into a storm drain, watching them disappear into darkness that suddenly feels safer than light. She knows what this means. The invisibility that kept her alive for 12 years just burned up with everything she owned. No-seok isn't just threatened, he's terrified. Men like him don't order hits on waitresses unless those waitresses know something that ends dynasties. Naega boaseo. 3 words. She thought they were a shield. Turns out they were a declaration of war. The 6 train station glows ahead like a mouth waiting to swallow her. She descends into artificial light and the smell of brake dust and human desperation. Swipes a card she's kept active for 15 years despite never needing it. The turnstile clicks. She moves through crowds of night shift workers and insomniacs, just another face in New York's endless anonymous migration. Locker 347, 3rd row, bottom left. The key still fits after all these years, hanging on a chain she's worn against her skin since her father's funeral. The metal is warm from her body heat. She opens the locker. Inside, a laptop sealed in waterproof plastic, dusty, dormant, waiting. Her father's voice echoes across 15 years. If you ever need to disappear, you'll need leverage. Everyone has secrets, Lajuana. The trick is knowing which ones kill and which ones keep you alive. She pulls the laptop free. The plastic crinkles too loud in the subway's hollow acoustics. An old man on a nearby bench watches her without seeming to watch. A woman in a business suit glances up from her phone, then away too quickly. Lajuana closes the locker. Walks toward the platform where a train is pulling in, its brakes screaming metal against metal. She boards, sits, places the laptop on her knees like a bomb that hasn't decided whether to explode or save her life. Outside the window, Manhattan blurs past. Somewhere in that blur, Kang No-seok is making his next move. So is she. The difference is, he thinks he's hunting a ghost, but ghosts know where all the bodies are buried. The laptop screen glows blue in the darkened motel room, and suddenly, Lajuana is 8, years old again, sitting at a different computer in a different life. Her fingers hover over the password prompt. 16 characters. Her father's voice cuts through 15 years of silence. Think like a chess player, not a poet. What move would your opponent never see coming? She types. The system denies her. 2 attempts remaining before lockout. Seoul 2010 bleeds into the present like watercolor on wet paper. Their apartment near Itaewon. Small, cluttered with diplomatic cables and her father's obsession. Thomas Albrecht, not Korean by blood, but fluent in ways that made natives uncomfortable. He'd adopted her from a group home in Brooklyn when she was 6, brought her to South Korea for what he called the most important investigation of my career. She was 9 when the games started. Lajuana, look at this. Her father's desk buried under ledgers that smelled like old cigarettes and secrets. See these numbers? They're not just money. They're movements, weapons, people. Like a treasure map? Exactly like that. He'd smiled, but his eyes stayed serious. And we're going to learn how to read it together. Our secret game. The cursor blinks, patient. unforgiving. She tries another combination. Denied. One attempt left. The memory sharpens. She's 12 now, sitting in their kitchen while monsoon rain hammers the windows. Her father teaching her compound ciphers disguised as homework, making her memorize strings of numbers that seemed random until you understood the pattern. Dates, coordinates, transaction codes that mapped an entire criminal empire. Why do we have to learn this, Dad? Silence. Then, because knowing is armor, baby girl. And one day, you might need to protect yourself from people who think knowledge is theirs alone. She didn't understand then. The Kang Syndicate was just a name he whispered into phones at night. Korean organized crime felt abstract, distant, like monsters in stories that couldn't reach her. Until the night it did. October 2011. She's 13. Comes home from school to find their apartment torn apart, furniture overturned, her father's files scattered like leaves after a storm, and him, slumped in his chair, skin gray, paramedics already packing up their equipment with the resignation of people who've seen this particular scene too many times. Heart attack, the lead medic said in Korean, not realizing she understood. Very sudden. I'm sorry. But she'd seen the bruising on his neck, the defensive wounds on his knuckles, the way his eyes stared at the ceiling like he was trying to tell her something even death couldn't silence. The laptop emits a soft warning chime. 30 seconds until permanent lockout. Lajuana closes her eyes, reaches back to the last day, her father's hand on her shoulder, squeezing twice, their signal for pay attention. If anything happens to me, remember the day we became family, not the year, not the month, the sequence that matters most. The adoption date. But reversed. In Korean numerical format, with the cipher key from the chess game. Her fingers move, the system accepts. Files cascade across the screen like dominoes falling in slow motion. The black ledger. Every transaction, every political payment, every body buried in the foundation of the Kang Empire spanning 20 years. Her father's entire investigation, preserved, encrypted, waiting for someone who knew how to ask the right question. At the bottom of the directory, a video file dated 1 week before his death. She clicks. Her father's face fills the screen, older than she remembers. Tired, terrified. Lajuana, if you're watching this, I'm gone. And you're in danger. He glances off camera, like someone might burst through the door any second. The Kangs know I found proof. Kang Jae-sung was going to testify. They killed him. Now they're coming for me. He leans closer to the camera, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. Listen carefully. You're not just my daughter. You're the legal beneficiary. I transferred everything, every shell company, every account, into a trust in your name. You own them now, all of it. The screen goes black. Lajuana stares at her reflection in the dead monitor. Outside, sirens wail past. Somewhere in Manhattan, Kang No-seok is sleeping soundly, convinced he's hunting a waitress. He has no idea he's about to lose everything to the ghost of a diplomat who taught his daughter to play chess. And in this game, she's been holding checkmate for 15 years. Jiwoo's phone vibrates at 3:47 a.m. with a message that makes his blood freeze. The waitress is still alive. He sits up in bed, the silk sheets suddenly feeling like a shroud. The cleaner never fails. Never. That's why he costs 6 figures per job. Yet somehow, a woman who serves ribeyes for tips survived a gas explosion designed to vaporize her apartment and everyone in it. By 4:15 a.m., he's in the basement of their Queens warehouse, where Min-jun and 3 other lieutenants gather, around a metal table like surgeons preparing for an operation they don't believe will save the patient. The single bulb overhead swings slightly, casting shadows that make everyone look guilty of something. He's losing control. Minjun speaks first, his voice barely above a whisper. The concrete walls drink sound, but paranoia makes everyone cautious. 3 million in equipment burned, the cleaner exposed. And for what? A black waitress who spoke Korean? She said something specific. Jiwoo pulls up the security footage from the obsidian on his tablet. He's watched it 47 times, studying Kang No-seok's face frame by frame. Look at his expression. That's not anger, that's terror. They watch in silence. The way No-seok's pupils dilate, how his hand trembles before reaching for his jacket, the color draining from his face like someone pulled a plug. Naega boasayo. Park Sung-ho, the oldest lieutenant, repeats the words carefully. I saw you. Saw him do what? The question hangs in the air like smoke that won't dissipate. Minjun leans back, his chair creaking. The old guard arrives in 36 hours. They're already asking questions. Why we're liquidating assets. Why No-seok canceled 3 meetings. Why he's obsessed with finding one woman. What did you tell them? Jiwoo asks. That she witnessed a transaction. That she's a federal informant. That she's connected to the Irish. Minjun's laugh is bitter. I've used every lie in the book, but Elder Choi isn't stupid. He asked me yesterday why No-seok's father never mentioned an American informant in his final briefings. Silence. That's the question that's been eating at all of them. No-seok's father kept meticulous records. Every threat catalogued, every informant identified, every problem addressed before it metastasized. Yet he died 6 months ago without mentioning a black waitress who speaks aristocratic Korean and knows something that makes his son hemorrhage money trying to erase her. There's another possibility. Sung-ho's voice cuts through the tension like a blade through flesh. What if she knows about Jae-sung? The temperature in the room drops. 3 men reach for cigarettes simultaneously. Nobody lights them. That's a ghost story, Minjun says, but his voice lacks conviction. The eldest son died in Busan. Car accident. We all went to the funeral. Closed casket? Jiwoo's fingers drum against the metal table. I remember thinking that was strange. No viewings, no traditional ceremonies, just ash and a story about the body being too damaged to present. You're talking about killing the heir. Sung-ho's words are careful, measured. That's not ambition. That's patricide, fratricide. That's the kind of secret that burns dynasties to ash. More silence. The kind that means everyone in the room is calculating the same terrible equation. If No-seok killed his brother to seize power, and if a witness exists, then everyone complicit in his reign becomes a liability the moment the old guard discovers the truth. Jiwoo's phone buzzes again. Unknown number. She accessed the Albrecht files 30 minutes ago. Encryption suggests military-grade intelligence protocols. Albrecht. Minjun's face goes pale. That's the diplomat No-seok's father used to talk about. The American who was building a case against us in Seoul 15 years ago. The pieces slide together with the finality of a coffin lid closing. She's not just a waitress, Jiwoo says, his voice hollow. She's the daughter. Park Sung-ho stands, his chair scraping against concrete like nails on a chalkboard. If the old guard finds out we've been hunting the child of the man we murdered, the same child who might own legal claim to everything we've built. He doesn't finish. He doesn't need to. Minjun picks up his phone, stares at No-seok's number on the screen. His thumb hovers over the call button. Then he sets it down. We need to talk to her before No-seok does, he says. Because if she has proof, we're not protecting a boss anymore. We're guarding a dead man who just doesn't know he's been buried yet. And in this business, loyalty to corpses is a luxury none of them can afford. The wire transfer executes at exactly 6 a.m., and $47 million vanishes from Kang No-seok's Cayman accounts like smoke and wind. Lajuana watches the numbers zero out on her laptop screen, her finger still hovering over the enter key that just detonated a financial bomb. The motel room smells like burnt coffee and the chemical tang of fear sweat. Her hands don't shake anymore. That ended somewhere between Chapter 2's explosion and Chapter 3's revelation that she owns the very ground her enemy walks on. She pulls up the second screen, types a message to an encrypted number her father's files marked with a red flag and a single word. Rival. I have the Black Ledger. I have proof of Jae-sung's murder. I have control of Kang assets. Let's talk, today, alone. Ghost of Albrecht? Send? The response arrives in 43 seconds. Riverside Park, Soldiers Memorial, 9 a.m., come unarmed or don't come at all. 24 hours until the old guard convenes. That's the new countdown burning in her mind. At 8:47 a.m., she stands at the memorial overlooking the Hudson, watching tugboats drag barges through water the color of pewter. The February wind cuts through her stolen coat, grabbed from a thrift store in Queens because everything she owned burned. She looks homeless, disposable, exactly what she needs. Chen Yong-soo arrives at 8:59, flanked by two bodyguards who position themselves at opposite ends of the memorial like human bookends. He's smaller than No-seok, older, with wire-frame glasses that make him look like a professor instead of the man who controls Chinatown's heroin pipeline. His reputation precedes him, methodical, patient, the kind of predator who waits years for the perfect moment to strike. You're Thomas Albrecht's daughter? Not a question. He sits on the bench beside her, leaving 3 feet of neutral space between them. I heard he died of a heart attack. I heard your predecessor died falling downstairs. Lajuana meets his eyes. We both know what lies sound like. His smile is thin, sharp. The waitress who speaks aristocratic Korean. No-seok must be bleeding ulcers. He's about to bleed worse. She hands him a tablet. On screen, transaction records spanning 2 decades, dates, amounts, names. The Black Ledger, every political payment, every assassination contract, every shell company. My father spent 20 years building this. Yong-soo scrolls. His breath catches once, twice. His fingers pause on a particular entry from 2011, the month Jae-sung disappeared, the month her father died, the same payment to the same cleaner who tried to kill her 3 days ago. Silence, just wind and water and the distant horn of a ship navigating toward the Atlantic. Why bring this to me? His voice is careful, stripped of assumption. Because No-seok murdered his way to power, and the old guard doesn't know. Because you've been waiting 15 years for proof that would let you take his throne without starting a war that destroys both your organizations. She pulls up another screen. And because, as of 6 o'clock this morning, I froze $47 million in his offshore accounts. By noon, it'll be $90 million. By tonight, he won't be able to pay his own lieutenants. Yong-soo's eyebrows rise, just slightly. That's an act of war. No, that's an act of ownership. She stands, buttoning the thrift store coat against wind that smells like salt and diesel fuel. I'm the legal beneficiary of every front corporation the Kang Syndicate operates. My father made sure of it before they killed him, which means I don't need No-seok's permission to liquidate his empire. I just need someone to make sure he doesn't kill me before the old guard arrives tomorrow. You want protection. I want a partnership. She turns to face him fully, this man who moves weight that drowns cities and murders that never reach trial. You get No-seok's territory, his networks, his legacy. I get justice for my father and the evidence that puts No-seok in the ground where he belongs. We both get to watch him fall in front of the people whose respect he murdered his brother to earn. Yong-soo studies her the way archaeologists study artifacts that rewrite history. Finally, he extends his hand. I'll have 20 men around you by noon, but when the old guard convenes, you'll need more than bodyguards. You'll need proof No-seok can't deny. I have it. Her grip is firm, final. I've always had it. I just needed someone to help me stay alive long enough to use it. By 9:23 a.m., the Waitress is a queen, and No-seok's empire is already falling. He just doesn't hear the avalanche yet. The video starts with a whimper, and Lajuana knows immediately it's Maria, not a scream. Maria doesn't scream when she's terrified. She makes this small, broken sound like a child trying not to wake a sleeping monster. Lajuana has heard it exactly twice before. Once when Maria's ex found her at work, and once when immigration threatened to separate her from her daughter. The camera focuses. Maria sits zip-tied to a metal chair in what looks like a warehouse, concrete pillars stretching into shadow behind her. Her left eye is swollen shut. Blood crusts her upper lip. Her server uniform from the Obsidian is torn at the shoulder, revealing a cigarette burn that's still raw. Kang No-seok steps into frame. Lajuana Albrecht. His voice is surgical, each syllable cut clean. You've been busy, freezing accounts, meeting with Chen, thinking you're playing a game you understand. He runs his fingers through Maria's hair, gentle, paternal, obscene. But you forgot something important. Ghosts don't have friends. They don't have leverage. They don't have anything worth keeping alive. Maria's breath comes in short gasps. Her ribs might be broken. The Black Ledger, every file, every encryption key, every piece of your father's investigation. No-seok leans close to the camera, his face filling the screen. You have 12 hours. Brooklyn Navy Yard, Building 77. Come alone. Come with the data, or I'll send Maria back to you in pieces small enough to fit in a server box. The video ends. Lajuana sits in the safe house Yong-soo provided, a brownstone in Park Slope that smells like furniture polish and old money. Her phone weighs 1,000 pounds in her hand. The timestamp reads 2:47 p.m., 18 hours until the old guard meeting, 12 hours until No-seok's deadline. The clock is eating itself. She pulls up Maria's contact. They've worked together for 3 years. Same shifts, same nightmare customers, same exhausted laughter in the kitchen after service. Maria taught her how to carry 6 plates at once. Lajuana taught Maria enough English to pass her citizenship test. They're not family. Not quite. But in a city where everyone's running from something, they learn to run parallel. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. Yong-soo says if you go, you're dead. The girl's already dead. Don't trade the ledger for a corpse. Another message. 20 of my men can extract her. High casualties. 50-50 success rate. Your call. Lajuana's fingers hover over the keyboard. Types. How long to plan? 6 hours minimum. Leave 6 for execution. Tight. The math is brutal. 6 hours of planning means the extraction happens at 9 p.m. If it fails, Maria dies. If it succeeds but takes too long, No-seok gets word and disappears before the old guard arrives. If Lajuana goes alone, she dies and the ledger dies with her. 3 impossible choices, all of them ending in blood. She stands, paces to the window. Park Slope spreads out below, oblivious. Coffee shops and dog walkers and people whose worst problem today is a delayed subway. She used to be one of them. Invisible. Safe. Her reflection in the glass looks like someone else. Someone harder. Her phone rings. No-seok. She answers. 11 hours now. His voice is pleasant, conversational, like they're discussing dinner reservations. Your friend is asking for you. Well, she would be, if she could still speak clearly. I had to remove 2 teeth to make my point about cooperation. Silence, the kind that precedes violence or surrender. I'm bringing the ledger, Lajuana says. Her voice is steady, empty. But not the way you think. Alone, unarmed, or nothing. She hangs up, pulls up Yongsu's number, types. I need a camera crew, a satellite uplink, and access to the old guard's private network. I'm not trading the ledger, I'm broadcasting it. The response is immediate. You'll start a war. No. Lajuana picks up her father's laptop, the one that's held his truth for 15 years. I'm ending one. The old guard arrives in 17 hours. No Siak threatened to kill a civilian in 12. Let's make sure everyone with power in this city watches him confess in real time. Another message appears. You're betting your friend's life on a live stream? Lajuana looks at Maria's photo on her phone, smiling, whole, before No Siak broke her to make a point. I'm betting it on the fact that No Siak won't kill her on camera in front of the people who decide if he keeps breathing. Send. 11 hours until the Navy Yard, 17 until the Old Guard, and one chance to save Maria while destroying the man who thinks leverage is the same as power. Rain hammers the corrugated metal roof of Building 77 like bullets searching for flesh. Lajuana steps through the entrance at 2:53 a.m., 7 minutes early, because punctuality in negotiations like this means you're either desperate or dead. Water streams off her jacket onto concrete stained with decades of oil and rust and things that used to be human. The space is massive, cathedral-sized, filled with shadows that move wrong and the chemical, stink of salt water mixed with decay. Floodlights ignite, blinding. She raises one hand to shield her eyes. Kang No Seok stands 60 feet away, flanked by 8 men carrying weapons that don't pretend to be anything but instruments of murder. Maria slumps in the metal chair between them, barely conscious, her head lolling forward like a puppet with cut strings. You're early. No Seok's voice echoes off metal bones. Eager to die? Eager to finish this. Lajuana walks forward slowly, hands visible, carrying nothing but a tablet and a laptop bag slung over her shoulder. No gun, no weapon, just data that weighs more than bullets. She stops 30 feet out, close enough to talk, far enough to run. The ledger. No Seok gestures impatiently. All of it, every file, every encryption key. I want to watch you delete it from every cloud server, every backup drive. Then maybe I let your friend leave with most of her parts. Lajuana sets the tablet down on an overturned crate, taps the screen. It's all here. 20 years of your father's empire. Every transaction, every murder, every politician bought. You want it? Come look. He doesn't move. Smart. Suspicious. Minjun? Check it. The lieutenant approaches cautiously, picking up the tablet like it might explode. He scrolls, his eyebrows rise. Boss, this is everything. The Busan accounts, the Seoul networks, even the... He stops, goes pale. The Jae-sung file? Silence. Rain fills it. Bring it here. No Seok's voice is tight. Minjun walks back, hands over the tablet. No Seok reads. His jaw clenches, releases, clenches again. Where's the encryption key? In my head. Lajuana smiles. It doesn't reach her eyes. You kill me. The files auto-delete in 24 hours. You let me walk. I give you the key. Simple. Simple. No Seok laughs. It sounds like breaking glass. You think you're clever, coming here, offering me my own destruction wrapped in a deal. But you made one mistake. He pulls his gun, aims at Maria's head. I don't negotiate with ghosts. I bury them. Then you should probably check who else is watching. Lajuana pulls her phone from her pocket. Slow, deliberate, holds it up so he can see the screen. Live broadcast, 147 viewers. The blood drains from No Seok's face. That's the old guard's private network, she says, her voice carrying through the warehouse like a sermon. Every elder, every council member, every person who decides whether you keep breathing past sunrise. They've been watching for 11 minutes. No Seok's gun wavers. They saw you threaten an innocent civilian. They saw you confess to having the Jae-sung file, the file that only exists because you murdered your brother 15 years ago. She takes a step forward. And they're watching you decide, right now, whether to execute a woman on camera and confirm everything my father spent 20 years documenting. The 8 lieutenants shift, glance at each other, at No Seok, at the phone broadcasting their reckoning in real time. You're bluffing. But his voice cracks. Barely. Enough. Call them. Lajuana's hand is steady. The phone doesn't waver. Call Elder Choi. Ask him if he's watching. Ask him if he wants to discuss your inheritance rights over breakfast. 5 seconds. 10. The rain is deafening. No Seok lowers his gun, not holstered, just down, aimed at concrete instead of Maria's skull. Min-jun? His voice is dead, hollow. Cut her loose! Min-jun doesn't move. His eyes find Lajuana, then the phone, then No Seok. Boss, I said cut her loose! Min-jun walks to Maria, slices the zip ties. She collapses. He catches her, carries her toward Lajuana like a peace offering to gods he's only now learning to fear. Lajuana takes Maria's weight, feels her breath, weak but present. Thank you, she whispers, not to Min-jun, to whatever kept Maria breathing. This isn't over, No Seok says, but it sounds like pleading. The old guard convenes in 6 hours. Lajuana backs toward the exit, Maria's arm over her shoulder. I suggest you prepare your defense. I hear fratricide carries a death sentence. She walks out of Building 77 into rain that feels like baptism, leaving behind a man whose empire just learned he built it on his brother's bones. The old guard arrives at dawn, and Kang No Seok is already dying. He just doesn't know his throat has been cut. The conference room at the Kang corporate headquarters smells like imported leather and old power. Mahogany table stretching 20 feet. Paintings worth more than lives. Windows overlooking Manhattan as if the city exists solely for their consumption. 12 elders sit in judgment, their faces carved from stone and decades of violence normalized into business suits. Elder Choi presides at the head. 74. White hair. Eyes like surgical instruments. He built half this empire with No Seok's father back when the Hudson still froze solid and bodies stayed buried until spring thaw. Kang No Seok! His voice carries the weight of pronouncements that end bloodlines. We watched an interesting broadcast last night. Care to explain? No Seok sits at the opposite end, isolated, his lieutenants conspicuously absent. He hasn't slept. His suit is immaculate, but his tie is loose, a hairline fracture in the armor. A misunderstanding. The woman is mentally unstable, a disgruntled employee manufacturing. We're not interested in your lies. Elder Park cuts through. 69. Former prosecutor who learned more profitable applications of the law. We want to know about your brother. The temperature drops. No Seok's fingers drum the table. Once, twice. Stop. My brother died in Busan, car accident, 15 years ago. Everyone here attended the funeral. Closed casket. Elder Choi's observation lands like a blade. No viewing, no traditional ceremonies, Your father insisted. The body was too damaged. We've reviewed the files. Elder Kim, the accountant who counts bodies instead of money, slides a tablet across the table. Thomas Albrecht's investigation, 20 years of documentation, including autopsy photographs your father had sealed. No Seok's hand moves to pick up the tablet. Freezes halfway. The photos show a body pulled from Seoul Harbor. Gunshot wounds, execution style. Nothing like a car accident. Jae-sung was going to dismantle everything. The words escape before No-suk can cage them. He was going to testify, cooperate with American intelligence, destroy 30 years of our family's work for his fucking conscience. Silence, the kind that precedes executions. So you killed him. Not a question. Elder Choi states facts the way judges read sentences. He betrayed us. No-suk stands so fast his chair crashes backward. The sound echoes like gunfire. He was going to burn down everything our father built, everything you profited from, every territory, every protection, every network. He was going to hand it to the Americans because he developed ethics. His voice rises, cracks. Years of pressure detonating in real time. I did what none of you had the courage to do. I protected this family. I killed the traitor, and I'd do it again because Jae-sung was weak, and weakness is a disease that spreads until it kills everyone. Elder Choi raises one hand. The doors open. Min-jun enters, followed by 6 lieutenants. They don't stand beside No-seok. They stand behind the elders. Your confession has been recorded, Elder Choi says, and broadcast to every phone in our organization. 417 people just heard you admit to murdering the rightful heir and deceiving this council for 15 years. No-seok's face transforms. Understanding crashes through denial like a train through paper walls. This was a trial. Elder Park's smile is surgical. You were found guilty before you entered this room. We just needed you to confirm what the Albrecht girl already proved. The doors open again. Lajuana walks in. She looks smaller in daylight, tired, still wearing the thrift store coat stained with rain and Maria's blood. But she carries the laptop like a scepter, her father's 20-year investigation reduced to 5 pounds of justice waiting to be served. Miss Albrecht, Elder Choi gestures to an empty chair. Please sit. We have much to discuss regarding your inheritance. No-seok lunges, gets 3 feet before Min-jun's gun presses against his spine. Don't. Min-jun's voice is empty. Professional. The voice of a man who just chose survival over loyalty. It's over, boss. Inheritance? No-seok's laugh sounds like something breaking inside his chest. She's a waitress. She's nobody. She's the legal beneficiary of every front corporation you operate. Elder Choi slides papers across the table toward Lajuana. Corporate documents, trust agreements, signatures in her father's precise hand. Thomas Albrecht spent 5 years siphoning your assets into an untouchable trust in his daughter's name. Legally, she owns 47% of your empire. The remaining 53% reverts to the old guard upon proof of your crimes against the family. No-seok sways. Actually sways, like a building deciding whether to collapse. You're finished. Lajuana's voice is steady. Your accounts are frozen. Your lieutenants have chosen survival. The old guard has your confession. And the NYPD has an anonymous package containing enough evidence to put you in Rikers until you're too old to remember why you killed your brother. This isn't possible. He's talking to himself now. I controlled everything, every move, every threat, You forgot the waitress. She stands, walks toward the door, stops, turns. The one you mocked in Korean because you thought she was too insignificant to matter. That's the thing about being invisible, no Seok. You see everything, and eventually, you remember. She walks out. Behind her, the old guard begins discussing asset liquidation, territory redistribution, and the most efficient method to ensure Kang no Seok never speaks to law enforcement about anything they'd prefer remained buried. Outside, sirens approach. Inside, a king realizes his throne was never his, just borrowed time that finally came due. The earth at Woodlawn Cemetery is frozen solid, but Lajuana digs anyway. Her hands are bare. The shovel bites into February ground that resists like it's protecting the dead from being disturbed again. 6 inches down. 8. The metal scrapes against something that isn't dirt. The waterproof case her father buried here 16 years ago during one of their games that she only now understands were preparation for a war he knew he wouldn't survive. She pulls it free. Brushes off soil that smells like winter and endings. Inside, a handwritten letter, a photograph, and a thumb drive marked with a single word in her father's precise script. Reckoning. The letter trembles in her hands. Not from cold. Lajuana. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've done what I couldn't. You survived them. I'm sorry I brought you into this world. Sorry I taught you Korean thinking it would give you options when all it did was make you a target. Sorry I documented evil instead of destroying it, choosing the long game when maybe the short one would have saved us both. But I'm not sorry I made you my heir. The thumb drive contains everything I didn't put in the black ledger. Not evidence, instructions. The real names behind every shell company. The account numbers they don't know I found. The political connections that kept them immune. You have the power to liquidate them completely, or to rebuild what they corrupted into something that actually serves the people they've been bleeding for generations. Don't waste it on revenge. I already documented enough vengeance to sink dynasties. Use it for the children who grow up like you did. Displaced, afraid, invisible. Make them seen. You were always braver than me. Thomas. The photograph shows them at Namsan Tower in Seoul. She's 11. He's younger than she is now. They're smiling like people who believe proximity to power can't hurt them if they're just documenting it. She was wrong. So was he. 3 weeks have passed since No Seok's confession. The old guard held their tribunal, reached their verdict, and Kang No Seok disappeared into a hole so deep even rumors can't find him. The official story is witness protection. The truth is probably cement and water. She doesn't ask. Some knowledge isn't armor, it's weight that drowns you. Maria is recovering in a private facility in Connecticut. Dental reconstruction, trauma therapy. A daughter who finally believes her mother is safe. Lajuana visits twice a week, says nothing about the $1 million trust fund that will pay for college and everything after. Maria doesn't ask where the money comes from. Some gifts are accepted without examination. Chen Yong-soo took No Seok's territory as promised. The transition was bloodless, surgical, the way regime changes look when everyone involved prefers profit to warfare. He sends Lajuana updates monthly. Drug trafficking down 40% in his sectors, protection rackets converted to legitimate security, the ugly machinery of organized crime slowly transformed into something that at least pretends to have ethics. It's not redemption. But it's different. Lajuana stands, holding the thumb drive like a grenade that could still detonate. The instructions to finish what her father started. To dismantle not just one syndicate, but the entire network of corruption that allows them to exist. To expose politicians, judges, police captains whose names appear in the ledger with price tags beside them like items on a menu. She could do it. She has the proof, the leverage, the legal ownership of enough shell companies to bring down half of Manhattan's power structure. One press conference, one document dump, one righteous act of destruction disguised as justice. Instead, she walks to the cemetery's chapel. Inside, two people wait. A lawyer who smells like expensive cologne and inherited money, and a woman wearing the practical suit of someone who spent decades navigating nonprofit bureaucracy. Miss Albrecht. The lawyer extends his hand. We've drawn up the papers as you requested. The Albrecht Foundation will be fully operational within 30 days. Focus on foster care systems, immigration legal aid, and educational programs for displaced children. The seed funding is substantial, the nonprofit director adds, her eyes wide with the kind of hope that's dangerous when it meets reality. $47 million to start. We can reach thousands of children in the first year alone. $47 million. Exactly the amount she froze from Nosok's accounts. The amount that was stolen from families, neighborhoods' lives, ground up in the machinery of greed. Now, redirected, repurposed, not clean. Money like this never is, but at least moving towards something other than destruction. I have one condition. Lajuana sets the thumb drive on the table between them. Everything on here gets encrypted and stored. If the foundation is ever corrupted, if the money ever goes toward anything other than helping children, this evidence gets released to every news organization in America, including the parts that implicate the people funding you. The lawyer's smile freezes. That's an unusual oversight mechanism. It's insurance. Lajuana signs the papers with her father's pen, the one he used to mark evidence that ended empires. My father believed in documentation. I believe in consequences. Outside, the February sun breaks through clouds that have strangled the city for weeks. The light is harsh, unforgiving, the kind that exposes instead of flatters. Lajuana walks down cemetery paths lined with the dead who stayed buried, past mausoleums for families whose names still echo in boardrooms and courtrooms, toward the gate that separates grief from the world that keeps demanding you participate anyway. At her father's grave, she places the photograph against his headstone. Doesn't say goodbye. He's been gone 15 years. The goodbye happened when she was 13 and too broken to understand permanence. I did it, she says instead, the way you taught me, not with silence, with proof. A cardinal lands on a nearby branch, red against gray, impossibly alive in dead winter. She turns toward the gate, toward the subway that will take her back to Manhattan, toward the foundation that will carry her father's name into work that heals instead of documents damage, toward a life that's finally, terrifyingly visible. The black ledger stays locked in a vault, monitored by lawyers and encrypted by paranoia. But Lajuana walks out of Woodlawn Cemetery carrying nothing but the memory of 3 words that broke a dynasty, and the knowledge that being seen doesn't always mean being destroyed. Sometimes it means being free.